Hello, everybody. This is Jose, and I'm back in the interview of my fellow players over at Critical Hit Games. This time, it's none other than Bradley Proffitt. Bradley,
Hey everybody.
thank you for joining
Yes,
me.
sir. You got it,
I'm going to
man.
start.
Too easy.
I'm going to start you with the simple questions. First of all, how long have you been playing BattleTech?
Let's see if you want to get the dust off. Since 1992 is when I got into it. Actually, by sheer accident, I was at that time I was playing role playing games of Robotech, the RPG game, and my group at that time was like, well, we need to find stuff to help represent where we're at on a map and whatnot. So we went to a hobby store just to find stuff just a substitute to look for like a fighter or the mecha. We didn't really know what we were looking for, and I went around a corner and there was the box set to the third edition with the 16 plastic mechs in it, and I bought that and I got enticed with it after I read the rule book a little bit, and I just fell in love with it at that point.
Guess what? That's my second purchase, personally. And if you ever see my Janeshua fortune, you'll see those mechs. I call that my unseen set. That's cool. Now, I know you started by playing Classic, and gradually we all became Alpha Strike players because we love the big battles, and you can't do you can do a 4 hour battle with a couple hundred mechs to a side, no problem, but you can't do that in Classic.
Oh, you
So,
can't.
so by that fact, I would assume you had a favorite mech when you started playing.
Yeah, I had the 6D Davian Warhammer. My group at that time when we first got into it was the old 3025 tech. We didn't have the clans around us. We didn't even know about the clans until a buddy of mine bought one of the box sets that had the clans in it and City Tech and all like that. That was my first exposure to the clans, but hands down, it was the Warhammer 660.
And
That
that's
was
it.
my favorite. Hmm.
I should have known that's the case, consider how many Warhammers I see when we play against each other, especially when you're playing Davian. Okay, then let's go with the next one. I already know the answer, but tell everybody, what's your favorite of the five houses
Oh,
and
mine
why?
is definitely I fight for the Davians. The reason being, it was back then, as young as I was, when I was reading the backstory of them, Davian just seemed to be the more militaristic, sort of like the idea of King Arthur and Camelot came
Okay.
to mind. I don't know why. I don't know why that it stuck to me, because when I read all five houses, none of them matched what I thought America was. I just couldn't
Right.
identify with the Free World League. It sounded close to it with all the bickering and the politics in
Yeah,
that
but
realm.
honestly, that realm sounds more like Europe to me. If
Yep.
you really look at it, the different
Yep.
countries in Europe all bickering for control.
Yep. So,
But
needless to say, I turned around and chose Davian, Federation Sun,
yeah,
as to be in the nation in which I wanted to fight for. It
yep,
just appealed to me.
yeah, I get it, and I get it. I even broken down, as you know, and I really started to build a company of my own little Davians, just so I can have them on the side of my Caritas.
Always nice to have an op force in your collection, because you
Yeah,
already
I
know that
know.
I already have House Karitas, second Genshola with my collection, and
Yeah,
also the Dragon's Claw is in my collection as well. And you gotta have them.
you got to have them. Yeah. It's just interesting to me. I think the only faction I haven't, there's two factions I haven't put any forces into right now, and that's the Lyrians and the Free Worlds League. I actually have 16 mechs for the Liao, but
You know, I
yeah,
even went as
whatever.
far as when I dove into it, and really understood the Federation Sun. I started looking through the line units, and I was like, "Oh, dang, the Davian Heavy Guards are my go-to, along with the Federation Sons Armored Cavalry. I like those
Yeah,
guys. I like let's see, who else is it that I like too? I like the Robinson Rangers too. They're pretty good mechs. But I think most of my time in that early phase is all my missions were primarily against the Capelian Confederation. So I'm a
Yeah.
big time anti-Capelian.
Yeah, the communists.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I think it's funny. The Davians are considered the knights, if you will. Liao, the communists. Um, Federated Suns. This is how I think of them. The Federated Suns, like I said, was European, Europe. Illyrians are the space Germans, separate from and always fighting with the Europeans, so that makes sense there. And then the Kurita are the space samurai. Um, Almost the era just around World War II in
Yep.
reality as to their political mindset. So to me, as a history major, it goes figure. I paint my mechs red, therefore I'm called Kurita. Fine, whatever, guys. I'll get Connor for that one of these days. But anyway, I have fun with the Alpha Strike forces, and I know you've done rather well
Yep.
because you keep educating me on new ideas, new skill in the game, the more complex parts of the game. I can handle my own if it's low tech, low quality, even high tech if it's a known thing for me. But once it gets to SPA skills, C3I, C3SM, all that stuff, and then alt ammunition, that's what I'm learning right now, guys. Bradley is teaching me all about alt ammunitions. And
Yeah,
possibly we will be talking about that with a future Mobile Headquarters podcast where he happens to be my co-host.
yep. It's definitely teaching players how to play the game is something that I love doing because one, it's not fun to constantly beat down your friends.
Yeah,
You play a game to be a challenge. You don't play a game to be gloating,
yeah,
egotistical. I know I may sound like I'm egotistical when I'm playing you guys. That's just me playing the lore of game table talk. That's it.
right. Yeah, I get it.
You know, it's never
I think
an opportunity that I don't take after the game is saying, "Hey, you need to do this better. You should have done
yeah,
this. This is where your flaws and your tactics
I
were
think last time,
concise."
yeah, I think I've gotten to the point where last time we played, I told you my mistake was I didn't sprint to begin with
Yep.
in
I
that game
learned.
that we played last. I should have. We were so far apart that I should have sprint. That way, the second round, I would have moved normally and been in combat range.
You saw that I was set up first
Yeah,
because I sprinted those 2 turns to get
yeah, you
into
did.
a position to
Yeah, you
be
did.
on the field and go, okay, here's the first checkpoint. The next checkpoint was going to be inside the city. It's just I was flanking. I was able to get there and set myself up because of the fact I did sprint. I knew there was no shots. If I think there's a shot, I'm not going to shoot. I'm not going to sprint my mechs. But when I look at the range being at 62, my head knows that 42 is a magic number. So there's at least 2 turns you got to go before you can get into range of
Yeah.
shooting at each other.
And the only reason you had to go 2 turns is because I did not sprint. Therefore, I did not take a turn in, or else we would have been shooting a little earlier.
Most
But
players are
that's
like, why would you want to play a big game like that? Well, first of all, most you can set your formations up. If you're playing company or battalion, you just don't come on the table as a big mob. The mob tactic, I've seen it numerous times over and over again, and it gets splattered every time when a player comes at me and tries to play the mob.
yeah.
It doesn't work because I got strategies in layers upon layers of defensive and offensive capability and
Why don't
getting
you tell
set up.
them your? Why don't you tell everybody your real life background and
Well,
your service?
long story short, I did serve time in the army. I did take BattleTech to Iraq with trips that I went to the box. Uh, had a great time doing with that, but I learned something when I was in the army. You definitely use real world tactics in our game of BattleTech and Alpha Strike. It is tactics. Fields of fire come into play, where one lance is moving forward, the other lance behind it should be able to provide long range cover fire to help move the two in tangents. I learned that in the army with moving. My brain was like, okay, well, we're going training this. Wait a minute, a platoon is 4 vehicles. That's a lance, a BattleTech term. And then I would see the drill sergeants teach moving a whole company or a platoon of troops, which would be 4 Bradleys, uh, 4 Abrams, and then either two Bradleys and 2 Abrams, or 4 Bradleys and or 4 Abrams, depending on the makeup. But then when I saw that, I was like, when we were being taught fields of fire, overlapping fields of fire, zones of control. It mimicked real hardcore into BattleTech in my brain. I was like, wow, this is how I'm going to play the game now,
Yeah.
using those kind of tactics that are taught to you in real world army, what we call the 3 Fs: find them, flank them, and break, fuck them up.
Yeah. Careful with the words. Yeah. That's all.
Hmm.
My channel isn't monetized, so I don't care.
Oh,
But it's interesting to me the level of detail that you do when you run a game. When you're in a game, you can play at compared to everybody else. I think even Ronald and Randall both have problems coming up to your level, in my opinion. They're better at it than I am. They're more used to it than I am with all the other stuff. But I still see times when there's no chance. I don't think they have a chance in beating you because thereof. Even if they're using clan tech to your inner sphere tech, which is supposedly superior, I've seen you take out clan forces with ease.
yep.
Oh,
It's not a guarantee. It's when I build an army, well, first thing I do is I grab the rule book. I start reading the rule book. I look at equipment. I look at rules. I look at the lance's abilities. I look at what type of game we're going to be playing. And I think along those lines, and then I just start going automatically with my manual automatic picks and build my armies that way. Uh, Once I get the mechs pick out, then I'll pick the alternate ammo out and I'll put it to the units, and then I'll go to the lance abilities and put the lances in. Um, that's just the layer of it, is knowing how to maximize these these skills and put them in your aces where they need to be, and
yeah,
that's what I do. I don't blindly. Oh, I got this battle master here. I'm gonna put him with all the goodies because I love the battle master. No, it's not gonna work. If you put long range sniper on him, what is he gonna do? Just shoot 2 points of damage at long range with a -2 to hit? No, that's a waste. Give it a mech that does 4 or more.
yeah,
Make the hits count.
yep,
Like in our last game that we did play, you saw the 2 Night Stars coming around the corner,
yeah.
and they're no joke.
They were brutal. Yeah, when I saw them, I go, oh shit, 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 shit. When I saw those two night stars, because I actually have a couple of night stars in a couple of my forces, but not the ones that was out on the battlefield, and they're not part of my creative forces. But it's kind of interesting because every time I play the Night Star, I have to tell the person that I'm playing a Night Star because they've never seen the mech before, which I find hysterically funny because they've been playing longer than I have for the most part. And okay, I'm playing a Night Star, or I'll throw a Sagittarius at them and watch them really shit bricks with those two
Hmm.
monsters side by side. You know. But it's fun. It's funny because yeah, they do a lot of damage, but their movement's sick. So chill, will ya? They're not going to race and get behind you anytime soon.
No,
But it is funny when I see those mechs out there, and I think about the way I've used them myself, and I just start laughing because I know you would have slashed them to bits if you were going up against them. Because
it's
I'm still
my
a
game.
noob when it comes to strategy.
It's it royal really boils down to when I play games. I look at the battlefield and I pick my points of navigation points that I need to get to. I try to recognize immediately what are the funnels of death, which means choke points in the form in the terrain where your enemy has to come. If you go back to the game where me and Ron played, where he played the clans and I was playing my Interspear Force, he put those two big heavy stars in the middle of the table, and there was
Yeah,
no cover. That's a cone of
yes,
death. I stayed out of it for a reason.
yeah. I saw there, but like in our game last Saturday, I didn't see that. I didn't see one area. What I did see was when I set up, I really didn't take a look at what was directly in front of my forces. So I put my slowest units behind tall buildings that blocked line of sight for the most part, large stands of trees that they had to go around because they couldn't go through, track vehicles, or they
Hmm.
couldn't quickly, things like that there. And I literally took them out of the fight for, I think, 4 rounds before one of them finally be able to get shots. Then I had to deal with mines and EMPs and all that kind of stuff, and they were totally out of the fight. But that's okay. You learn, and I'll learn how to fight those eventually.
Yep.
How to fight
That
that
was a
tactic.
that was a real pain in the ass to deal with,
Yeah,
as far as look at you because you had all those brick throwers and
yeah,
you were hitting my army, and it was at that point that's when those magnetic mines went off, and I was able to not do damage to you, but change the odds of you hitting me
yeah,
is what I was going after because you had the next turn, you had the +2 from the EMP mines going off, but you also had the +1 from the heat being added to the mech. So that's what
yeah,
made it really bad off because now you're at a +3 to hit me, even if it's just for one turn. That's
yeah.
one turn that I can turn around and act a fool, if I say so to speak, get in your face.
There was
Like you shot
many.
at those, yeah, you shot at those Pegasus, but you couldn't hit them
Yeah,
because
no
that
kidding.
+3 was added.
Yeah. Uh, oh, that sucked. But that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, I just got to learn how to properly deal with those, and just a matter of time and a few more games against Bradley, and I'll figure it out. It was a lot of fun, though. I'll tell you what. I mean, I lost. Okay, big deal. It's about having fun with your friends, and that's what happened. We had fun together,
What did I tell
playing
you
that
when
game.
you first when we first sat down to play this game? What did I tell you? This is not a game
It's
about that. This is a game
it's
about
not a
me teaching you
competition. This is
something.
about having some fun, learning and having some fun, which I
Exactly.
agree with. That's one of the reasons why I don't have a problem driving 47 miles to get across the bay to hit you up at critical hits. It's just one of those things where I wish our old group would spend more time together, but I know we're scattered all over the place.
Yeah, we're
And,
scattered like
and
wings.
yeah, I remember
But
when we would have like 3 tables for BattleTech, 3 of the long tables over there just for BattleTech, and everybody else was like barely there, on a
hmm
Saturday or a
we,
Sunday.
we
So
we will
yeah,
definitely will get that back into that mind frame. I missed out on playing Sunday at the Pinellas thing, and from what the pictures I saw, Emilio is able to draw a large crowd, so
yeah,
that's
he
a
did.
good thing.
Yeah, he
So
did.
we're going to
He
be
drew a large crowd.
definitely getting
Yeah,
it.
but that was a narrative event, and that was all on one table. So they were all crunched together.
Yeah. And
I think they each brought a star or a lance, from what I saw. So I'll do that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. My night stars might make and Sagittarius might make an appearance if I go there.
so my
I go
advice
slow. I go slow, but I don't care because when I fire, you're gonna hurt.
my advice for players, if you want to learn how to use these things, play games with players that want to teach you how to use it.
Yeah.
Play the one-off games of with aces at home using the alternate ammo. Uh,
Well,
there,
I've tried that, and it's interesting to me because something that they said during one of the AMAs on Aces was that um, the AI intelligence is only as smart as you are, the person running it, or the person going up against it if it's you against yourself. And I've seen that where I
the
have to
AI
be.
is not dumb. It puts you in cover. It does the
Yeah.
things that are fundamental in my game. I kid you not, when it was like when I was reading through it and I actually play test the game, I was a little shocked that it was like almost when it was telling me to move the units, it would be a move that I would do. And I felt like the AI was definitely a challenge for a player as long as they played the game true. If your Warhammer
Okay.
got taken out, your Warhammer got taken out. If
Oh
you
yeah.
you missed, you missed. You don't get to roll the dice and play because then you're really not learning anything. Uh,
Yeah. Well, let's put it
Aces
this way. I got
can
taken out
definitely
a
teach
couple
you.
times.
Mm.
I got taken out a couple times by myself. So I understand that part quite well because I try to play it 100% where my force is actually threatened. It's not a milk run for the 4 mechs
No,
or the 5 mechs that I'm using. It's just to me, it doesn't, I guess it doesn't have the appeal because I'm not running against another person.
well,
And I
you got
guess
to
I'm a
think of it
people
as being
person.
like that. This is such and such fighting me now. These are the mechs that he'll pick. You know,
Yeah.
if you ever want to have an opposition force that you don't know nothing about, I'll make you an army. Here you go. Boom. Here's 12 mechs. If you don't have those mechs, substitute them out right on the
Yeah.
card. That's another thing too. Is players forget they have the alternate ammo. They forget they have the SPA. If you write it on the card itself, you will never ever forget about it because you have to look at the card to see what your skill is, anyways. Oh yeah, that was that the skill 2 guy or is that the skill 3? Let me look at my card. Oh wait a minute, he's got armor piercing ammo. Oh, all right, I'm hitting you with the armor piercing +1 to the attack die. Hit you, I get to roll in the critical table. How hard is that to forget? If you put
Easy
HP
if you don't use
rounds,
it a lot.
correct. But I
Yeah.
remember even on a little bit because it's on my card.
Yeah.
Randall
Okay.
has those little flashcards that are great for having the rules written in it that tells you what that ammo does.
Yep. I have a copy of those. I haven't
Now,
used them except on Randall's games.
I
When
turn around
he's
and put
brought,
it right where the equipment is at the bottom. Normally, there's a small space underneath there. I usually write the ammo there, and then I'll put the SPA skills right where the armor and internal structure is, because you're looking at those places anyways. It's always keeping it fresh in the mind.
okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So Bradley, you got any advice for any new players to the game? Alpha Strike or Classic? Although we need to talk mostly Alpha Strike, I'm game for some classic advice.
Well, the rules are like this. Okay, I'll start off with classic. Excuse me. Classic, you have to read the rule books, understand equipment, understand how things work in the game in order to be proficient in fighting in classic. You have so much going on in classic. It's not even funny. Uh, like
Yeah.
most people don't know that your Gauss rifle, if you run out of ammo or you it somehow gets the armor structure starting to get beat into, and you're like, well, I don't feel like having a 22-point explosion. Most players don't know you can power down the Gauss rifle when if it hits, it doesn't explode. That's knowing core rules of the equipment that a mech carries. So reading the rule book and understanding when you look at your mechs and you pick, well, I got a game this week and it's this Warhammer, this Marauder, and this Archer, and this Grasshopper. You sit back and open those units up and look on the record sheets and see what equipment they got. Grab the rule book, read those what those equipment doing, so that way you're proficient at using it. Um, Anything else with that is another thing that you can do is just grab the TRO and just read it. Uh, it'll give you a definition of how the unit is supposed to be used on a table in the little short stories. That it'll talk about the capabilities of the unit and it give you a good perspective of what that unit can do in a game. As far as Alpha Strike goes, uh, once you've mastered classic BattleTech, as far as recognizing, because everybody that plays me knows that I automatically come with 2 SPA skills. My two SPA skills is Tactical Genius and TRO. Human
Human
Yep, the
TRO.
Human TRO, because there's not a mech that I haven't
Yeah, yeah.
seen and can spit out the schematics on it. It's not as proficient as I like to be when it's in the Dark Age, because those mechs are not mechs that I used very much in Classic, but I'm easy to able to recognize the threat value of it. So learning your mechs and units and the core of of Classic BattleTech will help you with playing in Alpha Strike, because you're going to be able to pick up your armies. Um, if you're playing Alpha Strike, the best ways I can say for you to get better at it is learning the capabilities of the unit, the equipment on it that come with it, with special abilities of the individual units, and then learning to play with alternate ammo, and then learn to play with lance abilities, and then eventually the cream of it all is when you use all the rules from alternate ammo, lance abilities, the 1 in 12 guys being the hero, and command special abilities. That right there is just what is Alpha Strike altogether.
Okay. All righty, Bradley. I want to thank you for spending some time with me tonight.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
This
Anything.
is almost the last. I have one more interview to do for the series, and that'll be Randall one of these days. And I'll be able to finish up that picture that I put out there with this on the cover. Will be the picture of all of us. We all got together, and it had let's see, Ronald, Randall, Bradley, myself, Jonathan for his first time ever playing BattleTech of any kind, and Steven.
Hmm.
The six of us were all there at one time, and that was an average turnout at Critical Hits around COVID era, or just after COVID era, when the game, when people mostly lived in that area or had no problem coming there.
Hmm.
In the summertime, of course, because Steven was there, able to get there. But it's those things where I miss those days. Now I go over there and I'm seeing, like last week, we went over there and
Yep.
we barely got a table to play. And the wrong size table, in my opinion, but hey, it was a table. We
Anything can
played,
be a battlefield.
you know.
It
It
doesn't
was,
have to be the big size game match. That's the key
yeah,
thing I like about the game. Uh, we just were playing on a card table
yeah.
game, and we just like, all right, to make this better, let's play the long way, and that's what we did.
Except for my
Yeah,
helicopter that
that
kept
sucked.
falling off the table. Lost the propeller, lost this, lost that, lost this. Okay, whatever.
Sucks, man. Sorry about that.
Go figure. No, it happens. I shouldn't have put anything over to that side, but I was trying to cover a flank to make sure I had that flank covered because I saw that I was going to start moving everything toward the center on that flank, and I needed something on flank to cover the flank. Then again, you did take off both my helos, and that
Yeah,
crippled the force to begin
that's
with.
because I recognize the
But
threat.
that's okay.
A key thing that I would tell any Alpha Strike player that's looking to play the game is look at the units that are coming at you. The most deadliest unit is not the unit that's throwing the most dice. It's the unit that's out there doing the most for your opponent. That is the most deadliest unit out there. If you got a VTOL that's running around being a spotter and you can't hit it, it becomes the new de facto cream target in my eyes, because it's now able to spot and do indirect fire and really mess your day up.
Unless of course your opponent is running um, AMPs and totally nerfing, so you can't hit you need a 14 and only go 12, so you can't hit them. Yeah, except for that. I get it. Uh, uh, man, oh man, that was a fun game. All right, Bradley. Hey, folks, this is Jose, and my guest here tonight was Bradley Proffitt. This is an opportunity for you guys to hear his
Hmm.
voice. I know you see him on the Central Florida BattleTech Facebook page. Now you can hear his voice and get an idea why I like playing with this guy.
See ya.
Y'all take care. Goodbye.
All right, Jose.
On. Hold on. I need to shut down the chat, and I don't think I did, so I got editing to do. Oh, come on, where are you? Stop recording.